Welcome back to Grimverse History, where we uncover the strange and forgotten sides of history. Tonight, we step into ancient Rome to uncover 7 punishments so cruel that even history tried to look away. They didn't just kill their enemies, they designed deaths meant to be remembered. Some punishments were so disturbing they were rarely written down. Others were erased on purpose. Not because they were ineffective, but because they worked too well. You step forward, barefoot, onto cold stone. The night air smells of river water, iron, and smoke. If this kind of slow, immersive history helps you unwind, you're invited to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's nothing you need to do right now, except listen. You're safe here. It's the year 101 BC. Rome rules the known world, yet fears collapse from within. Tonight, you'll be led beyond the arena into the punishments reserved for traitors, soldiers, slaves, and those Rome wanted to erase. Poena Colei was not meant to shock the crowd. It was meant to satisfy Rome. You would not hear cheering here. No vendors, no bets. This punishment took place early, when the city still whispered to itself. You stand near the Tiber before sunrise. The river moves slowly, like it has all the time in the world. Mist clings low to the stones. Leather creaks somewhere behind you. The man kneels on the cold ground. He does not look heroic. He does not look dramatic. He looks small. In Rome, killing a parent was not considered a crime of passion. It was considered a crime against the structure of existence. A father was not just a man. A mother was not just a woman. They were the bridge between the living and the dead. To destroy that link was to tear a hole in the moral order. Rome did not forgive holes. The sack lies open nearby. It is heavier than it looks. Inside, something shifts. Not violently. A dog presses against the leather. A rooster scratches once, irritated. A monkey grips the edge, alert and clever. A viper rests in a slow coil, conserving its strength. You are not supposed to feel sympathy for them. They did not volunteer for this either. Rome liked symbols that breathed. The dog stood for shamelessness, the rooster for arrogance, the monkey for malice, the viper for hatred that turns inward. Together, they formed a distorted household, a final family assembled by the state. The beating comes first. Not excessive, not merciful, just enough to remind the body that it still belongs to Rome. You hear the sound of rods against flesh. It is dull, not sharp, like knocking on wet wood. Then the man is lifted, not gently, not hurried. They force him into the sack. Human limbs press against fur and scales. Breath collides with breath. Panic finds no direction. The stitching begins, slow, deliberate. You hear thread pull tight through leather, again, again. This is where the philosophy becomes physical. Cicero later explained it with perfect Roman calm. Let him be denied earth, air, water, and sky. Let him be removed from the elements that allow life to exist. It sounds elegant when written down. Inside the sack, elegance disappears quickly. The dog bites first. Not from rage, from confusion. The monkey claws, frantic and precise. The rooster flaps uselessly, feathers scraping skin. The viper waits, then strikes. Venom does not kill instantly. Rome preferred waiting. You imagine the sack rocking slightly, not violently, just enough to be noticed. Then it is lifted again. The river receives it without comment. Water closes over leather. Sound fades. The sack sinks. There is no grave, no ashes, no marker. The body does not return to earth. The soul does not rise to sky. Rome considered this tidy. The worst part was not the animals. It was the conclusion. To die without burial was to die without memory. To be denied memory was worse than pain. You were not mourned. You were edited out. That was the real sentence. The river keeps moving. It always does. Rome trusted that. Most citizens never witnessed poena kulei. They only knew it existed, which was enough. Fear, when precisely aimed, does not need repetition. You step back from the water. The stones feel colder now. The morning light has not arrived yet. Rome is waking, unaware, unconcerned. Poena kulei was reserved for a very specific betrayal, one that offended ancestry, continuity, and the invisible contract between generations. But Rome had other betrayals to punish. Some were louder, some demanded witnesses. Rome always made sure the lesson changed with the crime, and the next lesson required a crowd. The second punishment carries a name that still feels sharp in the mouth. It is called the Tarpeian Rock, and it was reserved for Roman citizens who betrayed the state. You do not walk far to reach it. That is the point. The cliff rises at the edge of the Capitoline Hill, stone, pale and worn, 80 feet above the rocks below. From here, you can see the Forum, columns, roofs, the center of Roman life breathing slowly below. This is where laws are debated. This is where honor is displayed. And this is where traitors fall. You stand close enough to hear the city, sandals on stone, voices echoing between buildings. The condemned man walks beside guards. He wears no blindfold. Rome wants his eyes open. He is a citizen. That matters. Foreigners die elsewhere. Slaves die slowly. But citizens who betray Rome die in the middle of everything. The ground narrows near the edge. Wind presses lightly against your skin. It smells like dust and height. Below, the rocks wait without enthusiasm. There is no speech, no last request, no ritual of comfort. Rome believes the place says enough. The cliff carries a story older than the Republic. It is named after Tarpeia, a young woman who opened Rome's gates to the enemy. She asked for what the soldiers wore on their arms. She expected gold. They gave her shields. Her body disappeared under their weight. Rome remembered the lesson. From then on, this place belonged to betrayal. You watch as the man is guided forward, not pushed yet, just positioned. From the Forum below, faces tilt upward, some curious, some indifferent. Everyone understands what this means. When the guards release him, there is no drama, just gravity doing its job. The fall is fast, too fast for regret. The sound reaches the Forum a moment later, dull, final. The body does not bounce, it breaks. Rome leaves it there. No burial, no family claim. To betray Rome is to be expelled from it. Physically, symbolically, you are not mourned, you are displayed. The historian Livy records that even heroes were not spared. Marcus Manlius once saved Rome from invasion. Later, accused of seeking kingship, he fell from this same rock. Past service did not soften the stone. Rome preferred consistency. You notice how close the cliff feels to everything else. The Senate is within earshot. The people are within sight. This death is not hidden. It is instructional, a warning delivered without words. If you betray the state removes you from the picture. Literally, the wind does not linger. It moves on. Rome expects you to do the same. You step back from the edge, your legs feel steady again. The city continues. The Forum fills with noise. Debates resume. Markets open. The lesson has been delivered. The body remains below until someone clears it away. Not urgently. Rome never rushes what makes its point. But not all punishments relied on height and spectacle. Some stretched time instead. The air grows warmer now. The smell changes. Wood, iron, The city had other ways to make sure loyalty stayed intact. Some of them took much longer to finish. The third punishment is called crucifixion, and Rome reserved it for those it refused to recognize as citizens. You notice the difference immediately. This death is not hidden. It travels. You stand along a narrow street as morning settles in. The air smells of dust and sweat. Wood scrapes against stone somewhere ahead. The condemned walks slowly, too slowly. He carries the crossbeam on his shoulders. It is heavier than it looks. It always is. You are close enough to hear his breathing, short, uneven. Rome does not rush this part. The walk matters. People watch from doorways. Some avert their eyes, some do not. This punishment is not meant to educate the condemned. It is meant to educate everyone else. Crucifixion is not for citizens. Citizens receive cleaner endings. This is for slaves, for rebels, for enemies who challenged Rome and lost. You feel the sun rising as the procession moves. Warmth settles on your neck. The day continues as if nothing unusual is happening. That is also part of the design. At the execution site, the ground is already prepared. Holes dug, posts waiting. The crossbeam is lifted. The body follows. Rome debates details endlessly. Nails or ropes, higher or lower. Not to ease pain, to control time. You watch as the cross rises. The body settles into stillness that does not last. Breathing becomes work. Every inhale asks permission from gravity. Death does not arrive quickly. It circles. Hours pass, sometimes days. The body tires before the will does. Then the will follows. Seneca once observed that crosses came in many forms, some inverted, some twisted. Rome experimented, not out of cruelty alone. Out of curiosity. You realize something unsettling as you watch. No one is meant to intervene. Food sellers pass nearby. Children glance up and then look away. This is not spectacle in the arena. It is background noise. That makes it worse. Crucifixion teaches patience, not to the dying, to the living. It reminds you that resistance has a shape and a duration. The body remains after death. Rome leaves it there. Birds understand before people do. The message lingers long after breath stops, long after names are forgotten. Rome believes memory fades faster when fear remains. You step back eventually. Your legs feel stiff. Your mouth is dry. The cross stays. This punishment does not erase its victims. It displays them. That is the difference. The sun climbs higher. Shadows shorten. Rome moves on. But not every lesson relied on endurance alone. Some punishments turned loyalty against itself. You hear boots now, many of them, and none of them belong to enemies. The fourth punishment is called decimation, and Rome used it on its own soldiers. You feel the shift immediately. This time, there is no enemy in sight. You stand inside a military camp at dawn. The air smells of damp earth and old iron. No one speaks. The legion forms ranks, not for battle, for judgment. These men train together, march together, ate from the same pots. Rome considers that detail useful. The failure could be cowardice, disobedience, sometimes just bad luck dressed as disloyalty. The result is the same. The soldiers are divided into groups of 10. You watch hands shake as lots are drawn. Small pieces of wood decide everything. One man in each group steps forward. He does not argue. There is nothing to argue with. The punishment is simple. 9 men kill 1. No executioner arrives. Rome already has enough. You notice how the centurion does not raise his voice. He barely gestures. That is enough. The clubs come down, slow at first, then faster. The sound is not sharp. It is heavy, like rain hitting packed soil. You look at the faces of the 9. Some are blank, some are crying. All of them participate. Rome insists on this part. The killing must be shared, so the guilt cannot escape. When it is over, the body lies still. No ceremony follows. No pause. The survivors are punished too. They sleep outside the camp. They eat barley instead of wheat. Rome marks them as men who failed. You realize the lesson is not about death. It is about survival. Those who live remember the sound. They remember the weight in their arms. They fight harder next time, not for Rome, for relief. Ancient writers noted this calmly. Decimated legions often became fierce. Fear is efficient like that. Some soldiers broke before the lots were drawn. They chose their own end instead. Rome counted that as cooperation. You feel how quiet the camp becomes afterward. Even the wind seems careful. Decimation does not need repetition. Once is enough. Rome understood that the strongest discipline comes from inside. No enemy could match that. But Rome did not always rely on chance. Sometimes it preferred certainty. You hear boots again. Closer now. This next punishment leaves no survivors. The fifth punishment is called fustuarium, and Rome used it when chance felt too gentle. You sense the difference immediately. There are no lots, no numbers. This judgment is personal. You stand inside the camp as the sun lowers. The air smells of leather and trampled grass. Boots scrape in a slow circle. The soldier stands in the center. He dropped his weapon, or left his post. Rome does not care which. Intent matters less than result. The legion forms around him, not tightly. Rome likes space for witnesses. You notice how familiar the faces are. Men who shared bread. Men who shared jokes. That history becomes irrelevant now. The tribune steps forward. He does not shout. He barely speaks. He touches the condemned with a staff, lightly. That touch is enough. The circle closes. Clubs rise. Stones are already in hands. You expect hesitation. It does not come. The first blow lands, then another. The sound is dull, repetitive. You look away for a moment. When you look back, it is still happening. Rome does not assign executioners here. It assigns responsibility. Every man must strike, so no one walks away innocent. The body collapses before the circle opens again. No signal marks the end. It simply stops. The soldier is dead. The unit remains. You realize something colder than cruelty. Even escape offers no refuge. If a man fled before the blows began, he could not return home. No family would receive him. No door would open. Rome made sure of that. Shame followed farther than any patrol. Fustuarium worked because it spread. Not because it killed one man. The fear lingered in every step afterward. Every formation. Every command. Soldiers learned quickly. Facing the enemy felt safer than disappointing Rome. That was the intention. You feel the camp settle again. Voices return slowly. Eyes avoid the center. No memorial is placed. No name is recorded. The lesson is internal. Rome does not need to repeat itself. Once is enough. The circle loosens. The ground cools. But Rome also punished those it considered beneath its soldiers. Some deaths were meant to entertain. You hear distant noise now. Crowds, animals. The atmosphere changes. The sixth punishment is called damnatio ad bestias, and Rome used it when death alone felt too quiet. You hear the arena before you see it. A low, restless sound, like the sea learning to speak. You enter with the crowd. The stone benches are warm from the sun. Wine sloshes gently in clay cups. This is midday, the practical hour. Gladiators come later. For now, Rome eats. Below, the sand is already raked smooth. Too smooth. Nothing personal yet. The condemned waits at the edge, not armored, not prepared. He is a criminal, or a slave, or a prisoner of war. The category matters less than the outcome. You notice the costumes. That always surprises people. Rome likes themes. Today, the man is dressed as a myth. Orpheus, perhaps. A lyre placed in his hands. You understand the joke before the animals arrive. The trapdoor opens. Wood thumps, metal rattles. A beast appears, then another. The crowd leans forward. Children sit higher on shoulders now. You hear laughter, not cruel, casual. Vendors move through the rows. Bread, fruit, life continues. The animals hesitate at first. They always do. Rome solves that problem efficiently. Hunger works. The first strike is fast. The second is not. You notice how the crowd reacts more to delay than violence. They like suspense. This is not an execution. It is a performance. The condemned runs, trips, gets up again. You feel a strange disconnect. The body below moves like any other body, but the audience treats it like a story. You hear bets whispered. How long? Which beast? Someone wins. Someone loses. Rome calls this justice. The animals do not understand the script. They improvise. That unpredictability excites the crowd most. When it ends, the sand is no longer clean. Servants will fix that quickly. Rome does not like clutter. You realize something unsettling as the next act prepares. The horror is not hidden. It is scheduled. Damnatio ad bestias turns death into habit, into background noise. That is its real power. The condemned does not vanish from memory. He dissolves into entertainment. Rome prefers that. The crowd shifts. The sun climbs. But Rome still has punishments that do not rely on applause. Some deaths happen away from cheers. You smell smoke now, closer. Fire behaves differently. The seventh punishment carries a quiet name. It is called damnatio memoriae, the condemnation of memory. You do not hear chains for this one. No crowds gather. The air feels administrative. You walk through the forum at an ordinary hour. Stone reflects soft light. Footsteps echo politely. At first, nothing seems wrong. Then you notice the gaps. A name is missing from an inscription. Letters stop abruptly, like a thought cut short. A statue stands with a face that does not belong. The body is old. The head is new. Rome has been editing. This punishment does not touch the body. That part is already finished. It reaches for something Rome considers more fragile. You pause near a pedestal. The base remains. The figure does not. Damnatio memoriae is reserved for those Rome wants undone, not punished, unmade. The Senate orders it calmly. Clerks receive instructions. Stonecutters sharpen tools. Coins are melted. Names are scratched away. You hear the sound of chisels biting stone, short, rhythmic. It sounds like careful work. Rome believes legacy is a form of life, and life, when necessary, can be withdrawn. Wills are voided, portraits altered, public mentions discouraged, sometimes forbidden. You realize how thorough this is. Even silence is supervised. A poet once wrote that he would not wholly die. Rome took that personally. To be erased from memory was to be denied the afterlife. Not the spiritual one, the Roman one. You feel the chill of that idea linger. Death ends pain. Oblivion ends meaning. That was the intention. The irony arrives later, quietly. You are standing here because the erasure was incomplete. Scratched names draw attention. Reworked statues raise questions. The absence becomes evidence. Rome tried to forget someone so thoroughly that it taught future generations where to look. You smile faintly at that. Damnatio memoriae does not scream, it whispers. And whispers travel farther than Rome expected. You move on through the forum. The stones remain. The edits remain too. Memory proves stubborn. The city grows quieter now. Even Rome seems finished speaking. But one punishment remains. It waits where water moves slowly. The night grows quieter now. The movement slows. The weight settles. What remains is the echo. The feeling that power once spoke loudly here. If this journey helped your thoughts slow, if the night feels a little calmer now, you are welcome to stay with us. A soft like, a quiet subscription, a gentle share for another night traveler. Goodbye, and we will meet again.